I'm Justin Silverman of the New England First Amendment Coalition. Thank you for joining us for this lesson on New England state courts. This lesson is the third in our series of classes discussing how the courts work and what types of access you're entitled to under the First Amendment, state law, and various court rules. Each lesson is cumulative, so if you haven't already, please view the previous two lessons. You can find them on our YouTube channel, Five Freedoms, or in our FOI guide at NEFAC.org. You'll also find there lessons on state public record and open meeting laws, as well as tutorials on how to use the Federal Freedom of Information Act. Collectively, these lessons provide a curriculum you won't find anywhere else. A special thanks to those who are supporting these classes and keeping them free and open to the public. The Rhode Island Foundation, SBJ New England, and the New England Society of News Editors. Now, to introduce you to today's instructor, NEFAC Executive Committee member and Boston Globe reporter, Emily Sweeney.
Hey everybody, I'm Emily Sweeney from the Boston Globe, and I want to thank you all for joining us for this webinar, which is brought to you by the New England First Amendment Coalition. This session is going to focus on online access to state court records in Vermont. And with us is Liam Elder Connors from Vermont Public. Liam, thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Emily. So we're going to get right into accessing state court records in Vermont. I'm going to show you step by step how you can do that in Vermont. I'll say right off the bat, it's a bit difficult. There's not actually a great way to, say, sit at home and access state court records online. The way Vermont system is set up and the statute is written, you can't really get records immediately, but there are some things that I do as a reporter who covers a lot of court cases and whatnot to be able to get some electronic access to them. So we're just going to hop in now. I'm going to share the screen. So the first thing to do is to go to the Vermont Judiciary's website, which is Vermont spelled out judiciary.org. And what I'll first do is go to the public portal, which it's in this second column here when you hit the menu. And the public portal is where we're going to be able to get to Odyssey, which is the filing system that Vermont switched to a couple of years ago. And as you see on this page here, there's a lot of different things kind of talking about it. There's this Vermont Judiciary Public Portal User Guide, which does have some useful information. I'm not going to go on that today. I'm going to kind of try to keep this as simple and straightforward as possible for folks. So if you want to get to the system where you can actually kind of start looking up court records, you're going to scroll right down here to this Access the Public Portal button and just click on that public portal. Say, yep, continue to leave, and it's going to take you here to the public portal page. You do not need to create an account to search in here. You could create an account. That's more useful if, let's say, you're an attorney or somebody who is not a journalist or general member of the public, because you could get elevated access, which actually would let you download court cases and court records. As just a normal kind of member of the public or a journalist, I don't have that elevated access. So we're just going to do the normal kind of searching that you can do. And you're going to go down to Smart Search and click on that. And when you get to that, you'll be here. And I should also start off by saying that from home, I can only search things that are in the civil courts in Vermont. So any criminal case, probate, family court, all of those things I can't search from home. You can go to a courthouse, and all courthouses do have computers. They're called public access terminals. And from that terminal, you can search all court cases around the state, including criminal. And so what I'm going to try to do now is show some tips for using this Odyssey feature from home, which you can also then use if you go to the public portal at a courthouse and use the access system. Things like knowing the filing conventions, essentially, for court cases can help you look up things. So for looking up a civil case, let's say you don't have a specific thing that you're looking for, but you maybe want to see what's been filed recently. A little bit of a manual process, but the filing convention in Vermont for cases are the last two digits of the year. So in this, let's say we're looking for something in 2021, it would be 21 dash CV, which is for any civil case, it's CV for civil. It'd be CR if it's in criminal court, and then another dash, and then 5 digits. And the 5 digits is the order in which the cases are filed. So let's go to let's say the 10th case filed in 2021 in civil court. So it'd be, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 3 zeros and a 10. And when you hit submit, it should give you, great. So it will pull up that case, and what we can do is we can click on the case, and we will actually be able to look at the docket sheet for it, which can tell you sort of what records you might want to request. So right now, you can see that it's let's see, what is this? It's in Rutland. It was filed on January 4th, 2021. It's a credit card collection case. All this information is really useful. And then you can see a little bit more causes of actions. The case events I find very useful because it's a way to kind of check up on civil cases that I'm following or that you might be interested in, sort of see what recent things have happened. And you can see all the different filings. As you can see, I can't click on any of them. If I was at a courthouse, there'd be a little PDF icon that I could click on and then actually look at those records. But right now, I can just sort of see what's been filed. You can also see what hearings are coming up and what happened in those. You can see there was a bench trial that was supposed to happen that got canceled. And so there's a lot of information here. You can't get the records just by clicking on them. But let's say I wanted to get the complaint in this case, and I didn't want to drive to a courthouse. Well, so now I know what the case number is. I also know what the parties in the case. I know when it was filed. I know where it was filed. I can go back to the judiciary's website, which is vermontjudiciary.org. I'm going to click on menu again and go to media. And when we get to media, we're going to scroll down to records requests, requests for access to the court, and let's see. We're going to scroll down all the way to the bottom to this form. It's a PDF. It's request access to a court record. I'm going to open that up in a new tab. And as you can see, as it loads, it's a fillable PDF form that we're going to fill out. So I don't remember where all this was, but let's say the case was in Bennington. It's a civil case. It's 21-CV-2222, whatever it is. And then just fill out your info about yourself, my name, phone number, the kind of case it is. You don't necessarily need to put the case type in here. It can help, but if you have the case number and the name of the case, that's going to help out the clerk. They're going to be able to find it, no problem. So I would usually just fill out that information, the kind of information you're looking for. Maybe I want the whole file. If I know that I just want a specific document, I'll say I just want the complaint. Then you would click electronic certification, which means they'll send it to you by email. Request a delivery method, email, fill out the date, signature. I usually just do 2 slashes, put my name there, and then save this PDF, title it, records request, and the docket number for it. And so once you have that, you're going to email the court. There's a lot of steps here. I know it's kind of cumbersome, but this is frankly the best way I have, from home of getting access to court records. So once I filled out that form, I'm going to go back to the Vermont Judiciary's page and scroll back up to email addresses for all the courts, and click on that. And this will tell you all the email addresses for all the courts. So this one is in Bennington. Copy and paste that and email them. The subject line is actually valuable in this, is that you want to make sure it goes to the right division of the whatever court you're requesting to. So in this case, it's civil. So in your subject line, you'd put the docket sheet, let's say it was in Bennington Civil Division. I usually also put in like records request in all capitals, either at the front or at the back end of this, just to make sure it gets flagged. And then the time that it takes for them to get back to you can change a little bit. Different courts, and depending on how busy it is, it might take a little longer or shorter. But I usually get things within a couple of hours to a day at most. So it's a pretty quick turnaround time, and can be useful if, let's say, you're not on an intense deadline, and that you maybe just sort of need to, get something. If you're fishing around and are interested in a case, it's a good way to sort of gather documents there. So that's generally a way of doing it. It's a little cumbersome, but all of these sort of search skills are applicable if you go into the public portal. I want to go back to to our web page. Sorry about that. Where is it? I'll go back to the public portal and just sort of talk a little bit about good sort of search tips if you're looking for names of a person, because that can also be a little tricky. So we're going to go back to the public portal, going to continue, smart search. And generally, it's last name, first name, middle name, suffix. And, that can be good. So let's see if there's anything for me, right? In civil. Nothing. I don't have any civil court cases, thankfully. But let's say you're pretty sure that the name of a person involved in a case that you're looking for, pretty sure his name is Liam, maybe, not totally sure. A feature that I really like to use is I go to advanced filtering options. I generally leave, all locations. I want it to be as broad as possible. And I'll scroll down to sounds like. And this will sort of give me names that are close to what I'm searching. And this can be a kind of a good way to broaden your searches if you're pretty sure that a person who's involved in a case, but that they're not coming up for whatever reason. So once you hit that and hit submit, we're going to see it gets Connors Leon, Connors Lynn. So as you can see, sort of it sounds like Liam Connors. It's not exactly. And I've used that before in reporting about rental housing and trying to find cases that were filed by tenants against the landlord in small claims court. And I was using the sounds like feature to sort of broadly look to make sure I wasn't missing any of this landlord's various like LLCs or his different, if his name was one thing or a different thing depending on how the tenant filed it. So that's kind of a good like tool that I like to use when I'm searching cases. So those are kind of the big things that you can do if you're trying to get access to Vermont court records from home. Again, this same system, this Odyssey system here, it's going to look just like this if you go to a courthouse and use the public access terminal there. It's going to have all of the same stuff, except you'll be able to search the criminal docket as well, which is useful. And then you can click on the filings. You can either print them out and pay a fee to get a copy of them. But you can also, what I do sometimes is I'll take a picture of the computer screen with my phone. That is allowed under Vermont statute. That is not going to be a problem. And it can be a good way if you're just sort of, not sure if you need a paper copy, but still want to have a copy there as well. So those are the big things on accessing Vermont court records online. I wish sometimes it was a little simpler, but yeah, that's what we got.
Liam, thank you so much for guiding us through how to get court records in Vermont. I appreciate it.
Happy to do it, and people feel free to follow up if they have any more questions, even after the fact. Happy to chat about this anytime.
All right. Excellent. All right. Well, hey, thanks everybody.